Well, it's Saturday. We're still a little bit affected by the old altitude sickness, but on the whole, we're not too bad, are we? I want to tell you about two things today. One was beautiful and one was absolutely horrible. The beautiful one, they both happened yesterday. The beautiful one was in the morning when between 20 and 30 children arrived from 14 projects, and it was just, I cannot describe the warmth and the cuddleability of Bolivian children. They are so giving. They cuddle everybody, they give everybody a kiss. It's so lovely, isn't it?
It's absolutely fantastic. I don't think we've ever had so many hugs in our lives, really.
And we were saying this morning that the horrific thing in England is that we, in trying to avoid the problem of inappropriate behaviour and abuse and all those things, we now hardly dare look at a child, let alone cuddle them. If I take the dog for a walk, I'd be worried about talking to children. And I hope they don't reach that point here. They're doing fantastic work in protecting children from abuse, but it's not just the kids. In Bolivia here, people are very affectionate, aren't they? They're very affectionate. Yeah. I was given an amazing Spanish lesson, which you'll see on the video when it comes out, by a little girl who, as we sat, she kept leaning over the back of her chair and saying, "Madre, mother, padre, father."
She was quite stern.
She was quite stern. She was determined I would learn Spanish. Yes. So that was very beautiful, that contact with the kids. And then in the afternoon we went to a square called St. Sebastian Square, which used to be, for tourists, used to be a place where people went to relax. Now it's a place where homeless people gather, and I tell you, it is one of the most horrific things I have ever seen. I made some notes, got a little book here, I've been writing notes in. I just made little notes, wreckage, glue. Boy with a hole in his head. Little boy who had a big hole in his forehead, hadn't been properly treated. A baby wandering around among them. These people were like zombies. It was as though the springs in their legs had gone, as though the springs in their lives had gone, as though the springs in their thinking had gone. And we sat them, tried to sit them in a row to give them all rolls, two rolls each, and it began in a quite orderly way, and then it just kind of exploded, and there was a general scramble to grab this food, and then it was all around us, and there were these misshapen, crooked people in a desperate state. It was very upsetting.
It was, actually. Kept us both awake most of last night. I think I've been trying to analyse what was worse about that than anything else that we've seen, and you know, we've seen people in very, very poor situations, but they've always had a vestige of dignity about them. You know, people, credible situations, but with the children still able to be polite. Here, most of that, almost all of that had gone. The glue sniffing was absolutely blatant. In fact, we all got quite intoxicated by the glue because they were all just sniffing openly. The worst of all in the middle for me was a baby 1 week old.
That's right, yeah.
The only hope I can find were two little bits, really. One was a little girl called Shelley, who we met in the morning, who was an ambassador of a rehabilitation project which takes whole families off the street to look after them. And seeing her smile and her freshness and her confidence, in fact she took over the camera for quite some time, was just remarkable. And the other thing was that in that project, that rehabilitation project, we met a woman called Frances who also had a tiny baby. And just before we left, we went into her bedroom, and there was her tiny baby lying on a soft, fluffy little blanket. And the hope held in that tiny baby contrasted so horrendously with the situation we'd seen with this other baby at her breast. We've got to do something about it.
Yeah, those contrasts are the thing that strike us most. Something beautiful. Children who've been rescued.
Yes.
Something horrible. People who have not. And that's what's happening in Bolivia at the moment.